Lessons Evan sexual assault. Identify responsibility, action, and issue of the medical personnel with dealing alleged sexual assault. Identify evidence control principles, procedures, identifying recording principles. Lesson 1, Introduction to Sexual Assault. The rapidly becoming the prime of the healthcare professional. Sexual assault, no boundaries, anyone of the age and sex of the race and social economic background that may become the victim of these victims cannot be cared quickly with dignity, with compassion, while the evidence must be handled with great care and in accordance with the legal instruction provided with the authority involved. 7.2, the definition of sexual assault. Rape is usually defined as sexual attack upon a female by a male, but this is not necessarily the case. As another definition of the rape is an act of violence and a sexual relation with a force upon another person. Initial contact with a rape victim. If the first contact with a rape victim involved the victim avoid bathing, showering, and douching, although the victim used fuel with the dirty with the compels or wash the case, if they may report at the emergency room and immediately the victim have the rights to make you to accept the advice. Remember to keep in mind that the person you are dealing with the victim is not a criminal. Emergency room personnel duty for the perceived emergency room personnel is followed immediately notify the charge nurse to provide the patient with a visual auditory privacy. Consult with the emergency room with a standing operating procedure. Local, state, with the post law enforcement authorities may be involved. Each may have the different requirements. 7.5, the charge nurse are responsible to be charged with the nurse performing the duties in the person's absence. These duties should be performed with the senior medical personnel to notify the person concerned who are the emergency medical resident with the duties, sexual assault, crisis counselor, pediatric chief of the resident with the victim, single under age of 18 and not active with duty, the military police with an on-post assault, local police officer of the postal, other personnel including local SOP, standard operate SOP, charge nurse services with an advocate with the crisis counselor, arrive with the charge of the nurse opposite sex with the victim when the charge nurse may designate with an individual same sex with the act instead of the direct victim when the contact is indicated. Charge nurse to provide with the victim for the psychological support with the private charge of the nurse and the same the information victim's family and friends in order to notify these people. Charge nurse briefs the victim on sexual assault, medical and legal procedure. The charge nurse arranges with the attendant of the same sex to stay with the victim throughout the examination. Emergency medical resident duty. The emergency medical resident duties include the following: examining the victim's serious injury, to provide treatments for the initial resuscitation, stabilization, obtain written consent with the medical and legal examination, obtain written consent with the photographs if necessary, perform medical legal examination, collect evidence, evaluate, treat all injury, prevent victim crime, and leaving the emergency room, other venereal disease with the pregnancy, phyllosis. Pre-action to prevent disease and pregnancy to the victim, notify the gynecologist, female victim with the urology for the male victim with the near, notify pediatrics for children who are victims of these departments, or notify with the assistance necessary with the required to follow up. 7. The recorded principal evidence for the involved in the suspect. The suspect may also be collected with the document. Recording evidence should be accomplished and carefully documented. Records show these principles. Document each of the event and carefully document. Only pertinent medical data don't be involved with except the gathering medical information. You are not legally authority. In your documentation, avoid using such rape, assault with attack, rape, legal term, not a medical diagnosis for the medical team can only be determined whether sexual intercourse has occurred where the injury was sustained. Records as legal documents. Your record of legal documents therefore should complete with the records careful with records complete with the incorrectly difficult legal action with the descriptive favor to apply the alleged suspected instead of the rape and attack and etc. When you include the patient's statement and state with the fact with the quote with the patient as accurate as possible. 7 and 8 of evidence control principles, sexual assault investigation. You the obtain evidence component for the kids will include form medical examination report noted to the investigator with the physician stand for emergency care treatment and medical gynecologist, cytologist, D4137, the evidence of property custody document laboratory labs. An additional equipment to add prior to examination: agar plate with its GC culture for the refrigerator, preserve the PAPS ring with the gynecologist room. 14 lab to patient identification number to be attached for each of the specimen. Closing: sexual assault with a traumatic emotional agreement with it easy with it becoming the cover of these emotions exceed with the authority. This could actually slow down the legal process subject with the legal action when the guidelines must be even though may be strictly followed with the children are involved with the tendency to become the protective of the children and often overshadow with the common sense. Alright, that's the last chapter of U.S. Medical Department Central School for Course M. Texan Medical Health, Subcourse MD 0586, Edition 100.